All right, this is the SnapSafe, available on Midway USA. This is in the back of my 2012 Chevy Tahoe. You'll see the third row, first things first, the fitment. Third row does not fit down. Plain and simple. Once you put it in, third row does not fit. So for any of you guys who have the Tahoes, maybe the Suburbans, it'll probably most definitely fit. But for those of you who have the Tahoes, not going to shut down. Once you put this in, you're kind of out of luck. The only thing, I haven't tried it yet, but the only thing I think that you might be able to do is lift this up into a vertical position. So that way the keypad's facing forward or towards the rear of the truck. And you might be able then to fold it down and latch it if you had to, like on the road or something like that. Next thing. This was pretty cheap on Midway USA. It came in just about 300 bucks. It was on sale when I bought it. It comes with a programmable keypad lock. This is your key port for if the batteries ever run out and you have to get in. And this is the dial to actually unlock it. So it's decent. The programmable stuff is nice. The face of it does tip back. So if you were to sit it forward, I imagine that it would, be half decent. It does take up most of the room, wall to wall. You'll see there's probably about 6 to 8 inches on the side of the Chevy Tahoe where it doesn't take up room, and it fits in, like I said, far enough to where it covers the seats brackets, so that way you cannot put the seats down. Construction seems pretty good. It has carrying handles on the side. It has this little lift up handle for once you put in your pin code and open it. So, it's pretty solid for my purposes, just to carry a gun to and from the range and things like that. It seems pretty nice. I never liked just putting guns in a bag in the back of the car. It always seems silly to me, so when I found this option, it's pretty good. The front, or the lid itself, lips under, so that way it's kind of unpryable. I'm sure, honestly, if guys had a ton of time, they're going to be able to get into it, but let's face it, you can get into most saves. Let me open it up here for you. Spin to the left, it opens. The pistons are pretty good now that they've worked in a little bit. This is the gun that I just took to the range. This is a standard 16-inch Smith & Wesson M&P 15. So you'll get an idea. It's pretty much good for, if you have a bunch of furniture on your gun, it's pretty much good for, it goes wall to wall, front to back here. So it's pretty much good for, honestly, one long gun. You may be able to lay two on top of each other. There's some magazines. There's a set of binoculars, a marker, things like that for the range. You may be able to lay two on top of each other. Shotguns may fit a little better, but as well, I'm not gonna lie to you, I think that if you have some really long-barreled shotguns, like decent hunting shotguns, they may not fit at all. This foam here did not come like this, okay? It came in two pieces that were the dimensions of the bottom of the case, so it was rectangular, pretty much to fit the bottom. And then there was another piece that I think in theory they thought you would just sit on top of your weapons. I cut that one down, the top one, and fitted around all four sides, including in here, you'll see. So I cut it around, fitted in all four sides. And then I also had a little chunk of it left. So I'm not quite sure what I'm going to do with this chunk. I may put that chunk like up here and glue it to this. This is actually where the locking bolts come out. This is your battery case. This is your reset button. It explains all that to you. It took me about, I don't know, 5 minutes maybe to actually program this thing. So it was pretty simple. Other than that, the construction is decent. Like I said, it comes with a huge locking cable. To shut, it's pretty simple. You push down, turn the lock to the right, and it's locked. Right and lock it. You can't turn it back to the left without entering the code in. Comes with this locking cable that goes in through the side. The cable itself is really, really nice. It's thick. I would imagine it's going to take a long time to get through, to try to cut through it. But the way that it fastens to the actual case, it's just pretty much a threaded pin that goes through, and there's a nut on the inside with a lock washer. Honestly, I think if somebody were to just take a hammer to that, they're probably just going to snap the pin right off. I would like to see something maybe in the future where this cable goes through some type of holes in the back. You know what I mean? You can feed it through, come out the other side, you know, and then loop it through. I just looped it through the actual metal bracket for where the back seats would lock in. Those dogs right there would lock in. So I just fed it through that, looped it back on itself, and then fed it in to the port that they tell you to feed it into. It seems okay. I mean, with the door shut and it covered up and everything, I mean, there's no foolproof way, but this is way better than just laying it, you know, in a bag in the back of my truck trying to walk into a convenience store or something on my way to and from the range. I have to worry about somebody just breaking the glass to my truck and taking it. This is obviously a way better option. And for the price point of $300, it seems decent. I don't know how long the battery's gonna last. I've had it in my truck now for about 2 months, so battery's been good so far. I think the one thing I am gonna do, let me open it back up here for you. I think the one thing I am gonna do is I may glue this foam to the back, because as the door opens and closes, since it hinges under a lip, it kind of pushes this foam out each time. I think I may install like a plastic molly system under this foam and cut slits in the foam and then strap the rifle down to it. Although there isn't much wiggle, you know, if you actually get in an accident or something like that, or jam on the brakes pretty hard, the gun might move around. So I think if I put something from wall to wall under the foam, pull a molly strap out, a clip strap, and clip it to the object, the molly plate underneath, the plastic plate, will keep it from sliding around too much even in a pretty good accident, and keep it from hopping up in the air and smacking the lid. I have magnetic plates that I'm going to mount to this, the lid on the inside, and then put the magazines and stuff like that in a row. We'll see if that works. That's one of the options I have, to keep magazines in here with the gun. So if not, I may just put them in a carrier and just leave it on top or something like that. But all in all, this is the SnapSafe. You will notice when you buy it, the lid fits just a little loose here, the lip against this edge. So I took just a little tiny bit of weather stripping. You'll see there's one right here and there's one down there, and I put it in 3 different places. There's one there too. And so that way, as I ride down the road, the lid used to rattle. I hated that, so I put it so that way it doesn't rattle anymore. But it actually doesn't rattle anymore. It's nice and quiet, sits back here all the time. Like I said, if you were to tip it upright and face the keypad towards the rear of the vehicle, you may even be able to get the third row to sit down. This is a Chevy Tahoe, so anybody with a Chevy Tahoe or similar, your third row's out, unless if you either take it out or tip it up. I might try to tip it up and just see. Okay, update. I tipped it upright, and the third row does fit down. So in a pinch, if you had to, going down the road, you know what I mean, you had to throw the third row down, you know, you got too many people or whatever, it does tip upright and the third row does fit. So that's an option right there to, you know, get yourself a little bit more space. I will tell you that getting the door open now, at least for me, without securing everything in there with some type of strapping system, getting the door open is probably going to mean that the gun and stuff is going to fall out, or at least fall down to the, you know, the ledge down here. But ultimately, it does fit. You know, you got a few inches of clearance back there. You'd have to take the strap out if you determined that you were going to, you know, strap it to the actual bracket for the back of the seat. You have to remove that for the time being, but ultimately, third row does go down, so that's a plus. Any questions, leave them in the comments below. I'll be glad to try to answer them. Again, this is the SnapSafe. It's on Midway USA, I think is where I bought it. It's decent, like I said. It's, you know, 10 gauge or 8 gauge, I think, lid, and 12 gauge sides and everything. I mean, anything, you know, anything made nowadays somebody can get into, but ultimately, you know, this is better than just putting it in a bag and sitting it in the back of your car and hoping that nobody steals your guns. So, further addendum to the video after your comments, and I'll make a supplemental video to this if you have a lot of comments or a lot of questions. The pistons at each end although they're decent, they took a little while to break in, probably because this box was stored lid closed. Now that they're broken in, they do pick the lid up kind of on their own. You have to maybe give it a little bit of a jump start. But the pistons themselves, when you close the door, lay down, obviously down here on the side. So you lose internal diameter or internal dimensions, probably like 1.5 to 2 inches on each side. So that's why you'll see the gun has to sit, you know, a little further out. If you had something really, really flat that you're going to put there, like maybe a magazine might fit underneath it, you know, but other than that, you're losing about probably total 4 inches-ish total, 1.5 to 2 inches on each side of area that you can't put a gun. It won't close. It'll crush the gun, you know, it'll lay up against the gun and the lid won't close right. So hope you enjoyed the video. If you like it, hit like. I'm going to try to do other things. If you want anything specific, hit on the comments and ask me specifically about this box. All right.